This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to Covered in Pet Hair, a boozy web show for pet lovers on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with the guy creating all sorts of magic for pet lovers on Clubhouse. I'll tell you all about him and introduce you as soon as we come back from these messages from our sponsors. Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with an influencer, a cat and dog person. He's a world traveler, an adventure seeker, a fitness and wellness fanatic, an artist, a designer, an animal advocate, believer in magic, husband to Serge, Californian born and raised, co-founder at Healthy Paws Herbal Labs, and the go-to guy on that new app called Clubhouse. It's Michael Havoc. Welcome, Michael. It's so good to have you on the show.
Oh my God, Isabel, I'm so happy being here, and it's so nice seeing you live here. It's wonderful.
I know we've met through Clubhouse, which we're going to get into. And it's so nice to put a face to the name and to all the notifications I get from you.
Oh, I love that you're set up for the notifications. Wonderful. You're right in the right crew.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But before we go any further, anybody participating in our drinking game today, anytime you hear this word, make sure you take a drink of whatever it is you're enjoying while you browse through Clubhouse and listen in on some rooms. But be sure you're over 21 to drink, at least in the United States. Never drink and drive, and always drink responsibly. So what are you drinking today, Michael?
Well, today I'm drinking a mocktail, and it is mango and raspberry with water and agave mixed together.
Ooh, nice. I love me a mocktail. I did not have time to put a mocktail together because today has been a little nutty, and I'm actually recovering from a little bit of a cold, not COVID, thank goodness. So I'm sticking to some sparkling water today. Here is to having you on the show. Cheers. Thanks for being my guest. Before I dig in, I always like to introduce the show with a game. And the first game we're going to play is super easy. I'm letting you off the hook this time. We're going to talk about social media in a game I like to call Where to Share. And I'm going to tell you a couple of scenarios, and you're going to tell me your go-to social media platform to share these things. Are you ready to play?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Okay, the first one, again, this is an easy game, but it is something that everybody's going to have different answers to. So I like to kind of gauge where people are sharing their lives on social media. So here we go. Number one, you took a photo of two sweet dogs at a park playing. Where do you share?
Oh, definitely on Instagram.
Do you have a big following on Instagram?
Yes, I have two Instagram accounts, and one's like 60,000 followers, and one's, I believe, our Healthy Paws is around 4,000.
Nice. Very nice. I believe I follow you, but if I don't, guess what I'm doing after we wrap this up? I'm going to go follow you. All right, next one. You had an excellent experience with a business or organization. Where do you share?
Oh, once again, I share on my social media, Instagram. I mean, that seems to be my hub where everybody comes together and they're looking what the next exciting thing that I'm doing.
Perfect. Next one, you want to start a discussion on pet adoption. Where do you share?
Well, nowadays it's Clubhouse.
For sure. Not surprised with your answer there. All right. A pet that you know and love received a concerning diagnosis. You want to help the pet parent, navigate some stuff. Where do you share?
Well, once again, Clubhouse.
Yeah. People aren't going there yet, but we're going to talk about that. Number 5, you're helping a friend who needs a new harness for their dog. Where do you share?
Clubhouse.
Ooh, interesting. All right, good. I haven't talked products on Clubhouse yet, but that's a good one to know. Last one. You want to join Clubhouse. Let's say that you hadn't been offered the invitation yet, like many people find themselves in that situation, where do you share so you can get an invite?
DM me through my Instagram account and I will send you an invite.
Perfect. There you go. Awesome. 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 So for those who are listening, joining us, who have never heard of Clubhouse or are kind of hesitant to even join, can you just describe the platform for us real quick?
Well, you know what? It's so beautiful because it's a place where not just, your local people can get together, but it's people internationally. And it's a visual platform where you just have, our profile pictures, but you hear our voices. And I have people all the time from around the world, and it's the most incredible experience. And you never know what you're going to find there. So I think it's the next pretty big platform to be joining.
I agree. I compare it to like a forum. When you go to like a conference and you're sitting in the audience and there's a forum of like pet experts or whatever field you're in, there's a bunch of experts on the stage, which I guess Clubhouse calls it a stage. The moderators are sitting on a stage. And then you get to ask questions and they bring you on stage and they take you off stage, and there's no visual, so you don't have to dress up, which is nice. You don't have to worry about your setup. You don't have to worry about your face, your hair, your PJs, and you get to participate in these really great discussions.
Yeah, and I just love that you said PJs, because how many times my guests say, "Oh my God, I just rolled out of bed," or like if I'm in Los Angeles, they're saying, "I'm in Egypt and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning here and I'm in bed."
Oh my gosh, for sure. I bed share with my little girl. She's 1. And sometimes by mistake, I'll like join and I can't participate because I'm literally sleeping with a baby who I want her to sleep. But I can listen in on my headphones and just kind of, like be a part of the discussion even though I'm really supposed to be sleeping. And sometimes, postpartum I've had so much insomnia that I get to listen to stuff that I normally wouldn't be around for or be awake for.
Well, that's the beautiful part, is like so many people are like, even when they're at work, they have their headsets on. If they're dog trainers or dog groomers, they've got us on in the background, and they're not just listening, they're learning.
Absolutely, for sure. So before we talk about the learning, because I do want to get into how amazing a resource it is for both pros and pet parents, how did you become like the go-to pet guy on Clubhouse? How did you so quickly become the guy who sets everybody up with all these awesome rooms?
It was kind of like haphazard. I just stumbled in on it. My husband, Serge, he's like, "Honey, you should get on this platform, Clubhouse." And so when I went on, I thought I was going to talk about my design, my world of design. And being a designer, I've always been a pet advocate, and I build these big events for fundraisers. And so I'm the go-to guy when it comes to a big fundraiser here in Los Angeles. And so when I got on and all of a sudden I discovered the pet industry, I was like going, "Oh my God, this is the perfect platform for me to pull these experts in together and have conversations that normal people every day just running around watching news or whatever don't get a chance to listen to." And I've been able to bring these experts from nutrition, from trainers, from sniffers. I just had this wonderful guy on today, and he was talking about how he works with the police department and finding missing people, dead bodies. I mean, it was just fascinating to talk to him.
Well, one of my upcoming guests is somebody that I met in a room with you,
Oh, who's that?
Millennium Demartini.
Oh, I love her. She's so incredible. And that's, you say that and it's like, I was talking today, and what I've ended up happening with me is like, I'm now getting all these books from all these people. In fact, I've received one of her books, and I'm reading all this material. And so now one of my new Clubhouse rooms is going to be book of the week.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. People want to just devour this information, especially pet pros or anybody somehow related to the pet industry, whether it be pet food manufacturers, treat makers, product manufacturers, whatever. And they don't know where to even start because there's so much information out there.
I get chills just for you saying that, because I mean, seriously, the hair on my arm is standing up. It's, to be able to bring this platform to so many people, especially during the pandemic, You know, a lot of people have gone out and got puppies this last year, and they don't know how to train. They don't know how to feed, and they don't know the ins and outs. If they Google search, you're getting a lot of what we call puffery, which is really fake information. And so what we're able to do is we're able to break down these different subjects. And with my rooms, as you know, I have so many rooms that I do them weekly, and they become classrooms where people will go and they'll listen and they'll go try it on their dog, and they'll come back next week. And I'm like, well, how did it go, Kelly? Did it work? Did it not work? What did you stumble upon? And then she's able to share what she came across. And then the trainer will sit there and go, okay, this is where you need to go. This is your next baby step.
For sure. Absolutely. And I think a lot of this is totally personal opinion, but I think when you Google, you get a lot of old stuff. Like,
Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right. And that's what's so beautiful about Clubhouse is you're getting nothing but the current information. You're getting real time information, whether it's here in the United States, London, any Australia. I'm working with people, like I said, all around the world, and it's so beautiful.
for sure. For anybody joining us, I caution you when you go to look up like nutrition and pet related training on Google, because if you notice, a lot of the stuff that comes on the first page is stuff that was published, like blogs and things and research that was published years ago. And in the pet industry, we see, especially for nutrition, especially for behavior, we see science evolving every single day. So like that is what I love about Clubhouse, where I get access to these experts that are in it right now, that are learning and sharing right now, and I don't have to, and they basically share it with me as in terms of like a conversation.
Well, you know, it's so beautiful. I do this one room called Food for Thought, and it's all about dog nutrition. And I have Ryan on there, and he's just a brilliant writer and educator about, you know, pet food and what it's really all about. Like you said, what is it about today? And what's the science of today instead of the puffery today? And one of the beautiful things is like I've learned, and once again, I've learned so much on Clubhouse myself by holding all these rooms. You know, during our last Food for Thought, I printed, you know, I always do the research on the internet just as if I was somebody just looking up a subject or whatever. And you're exactly right. It's like all of a sudden I got this really cute article about the top 10 foods that's like to recommend. And the first picture was Lady and the Tramp. And it hit me emotionally like, oh my God, look how beautiful. Oh my God, this must be an incredible article. And then when I visit with Ryan about it, I'm like, Ryan, scientific or puffery? He's like, Michael, puffery.
For sure. I mean, there are very, very few places that I trust for pet nutrition, and they usually are hard to find, and most people don't even know about that they exist. So for sure, Clubhouse gives people access, and I don't think people realize that they can raise their hand and ask questions about their own pet.
Oh, it's so amazing. You know, once again, going back to Food for Thought, I have Narelle on there, and she talks about, you know, where she started in the human side of nutrition. And then she started looking at her dogs and looking at her dog, and she noticed a gap, that there was something missing with dogs. And I find this so often with all my experts is all of a sudden they realize there's this gap for animals and they pivot. And so now people can actually come in and say, wow, I love what you're saying. What is raw food cooking? You know, is it cooked or is it raw? And, you know, we have these experts that can bring them up, answer their questions, and they could go home and give it a try.
1000%. So I have to take a break right now. But when we come back, I'm going to ask you about all the rooms you host every week, because I feel like I tried to take a screenshot of your schedule and it was too much even for my phone. You are such a busy guy, but I'll dig into that as soon as we come back from these messages from our sponsors. Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arada, and today I am having a conversation about that new app that you may or may not have joined called Clubhouse. And I'm here to tell you that you need to join it. And my guest, Michael Habik, is the guy who's going to make it worth your while, because he has about how many rooms do you have a week, Michael?
I have close to probably 20 rooms plus a week.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so before we go much further, I'm going to give you 1 minute on the clock, and you're going to tell me in that minute all of the topics that you have covered in a room on Clubhouse. Are you able to narrow it down to 1 minute, you think?
I think I can. I'll just roll off. Whatever rolls in my mind, I'll roll it off on my tongue.
Here we go. This game is called Clubhousing. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The ins and out, what to do and not to do with your pet. Then we have grief is love. When you lose your best friend during this last year, it is an impact and we don't know where to go with it. So we have grief is love. Then we have step by step. What are the step by steps for your puppy, your new puppy? Then we have pandemic puppy. Did you receive a puppy this last year and don't know where to turn? Then we have food for thought. And food for thought is all about nutrition and what we do with nutrition, the ins and out. And then we have, like today, we have pause stretch. And pause stretch is an open forum and we never know what we're going to talk about. And today we talked about with this expert about, how he works with the police department finding bodies. It was a fascinating story. Then we have sniff, sniff. And sniff, sniff is all about nose work with your dogs and how important it is. It's like if you're not giving your dog nose work, then you're like taking dance away from a dancer. And so there's just, I could go on and on and on, but
that's 1 minute. Bravo.
Yay.
All right. So how do you come up with your topics every week? Or is it, you just kind of let the room flow?
Well, I always have the same name to the room, but the topics always change. And what I do is I work with my guests and we talk about the topic that they would like to talk about, or I kind of express what I've heard throughout the week, what's working and what's not working, and what we need to let pet owners know and be aware of. So that usually drives the topic.
Perfect. Yeah, you'd stay super relevant. I have been in many of your rooms and truly it is very relevant because obviously I'm in the pet industry, I'm in pet media. Yeah, and I can see that you're keeping stuff really relevant and on trend.
Yes. And I think it's so important. Like you said, you could go to the internet and see a lot of puffery, old school information. I know when I was younger and we'd get a dog, we'd like, oh, let's put it on the side yard and we'll visit and play with it when we want. But today our pets are different, they're a different part of our life. They're family and they are our companion. And so we want to treat them just like we treat our kids if we have kids. They are our 20th century kid. They're there for us. Even when we're having a bad day, they can sense it. And so we talk about all these, connecting with your dog and how to be a better pet parent.
Awesome. And I feel like people just aren't jumping on the bandwagon yet. So tell me, what do you think keeps people from joining Clubhouse?
Well, I think it's kind of like learning to swim. A lot of people are afraid to jump into the water and just dive into it. So they're dipping their toes in it right now. And I think the more and more they dip their toes in it, they're going to start wading and then they're going to start swimming.
Awesome. Okay, so tell me really quickly, if I didn't know how to use Clubhouse, is it a user-friendly platform? Do you have any tips for anybody who's new to it?
Well, I think the beautiful thing is the way they set it up. So like if they're in your phone book and they're your index and all of a sudden they start to join, you'll get a notification. And being a Clubhouse member like I am, I want them to have the best experience. And when I get that notification, I will actually meet them in a private room and I will walk them through step by step of all the different features and all the different buttons and give them a head start inside of the Clubhouse platform. And I think that's the best thing is like when you have a friend that that's already who's invited you to Clubhouse, it's like a wonderful way to actually interact with them on Clubhouse and have them give you tips.
They're still only on iPhone, correct?
Yeah, it's still on iPhone. We're still in beta. I'm like, I feel like I'm part of the
family. Yeah, I know. You
now.
might as well be. You might as well be one of the founders of Clubhouse. I feel like you are to me.
I feel like I am. It's really cute because like today I had someone in there and she's like, Michael, instead of calling it a room, because the Clubhouse calls them rooms, she's like, Michael, I just love all your shows. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I had someone a couple of weeks ago, they go, you know what you are? You're the Oprah of Clubhouse.
You really are. You're bringing so many people together. You're educating so many people. That's why I was so excited when you agreed to be on my show, because I was like, this guy's going to get more pet parents in to Clubhouse, and that's only going to help the animals in the long run.
Well, that's sharing the love. That's always been my mission with all my work with design and anything that I put my finger on. My pulse is actually to share the experience and to broaden everybody's experience and bring new beginnings and possibilities.
Absolutely. And pet pros aren't using it to its fullest potential either. Can you give them some advice, those pet pros that are watching, whether they're, groomers, pet sitters, dog trainers, whomever they may be?
Well, number one, my first advice is you're missing out. Because what I'm understanding from all my pet pros that are on Clubhouse, they can't express how to expand their business, expand their knowledge, and even give them a chance to pivot and actually change their business to today's time, like we talked about. Because our pet industry has evolved so much and it's evolving every day. So this gets them an opportunity to stay on that leading edge.
Absolutely. And how would somebody who's only locally based, like say a pet sitter who serves a specific community, how could they use Clubhouse to leverage their business?
Well, I'm seeing with a lot of my expertise is that, let's say a pet sitter, they can't walk the pet virtually, but they can actually have virtual clients and show them how to walk their dog better. Or if there's dog walkers across the world, around the world, and they want to learn new tips, they can actually join in on these virtual classes with these dog walkers.
Let's say that a dog walker wanted to start like a local room, pet related topics in El Paso, Texas, which is where I'm at. How would I do that?
Well, you just sign up and create a club, maybe called El Paso, Texas Walkers. And you would then just, sign, you'd go to your calendar and just post a room and then maybe pull some other expert walkers or trainers with you and just start the conversation.
That is so awesome. It's so simple. I love it. I have not started any rooms, but I would like to, once I have a handle on my schedule. I have 2 young children and 3 old dogs. One of my dogs is not doing well, so that's taking a lot of my time. But one day, my plan would be to start a room, among other things, about cruelty-free skincare beauty products, because it's one of my passions and one of the things that I'm most vocal about. I use YouTube for it, but I feel like I want to talk to somebody about that, not at somebody like I do on my YouTube videos, but like with somebody to share what we love and what worked and what didn't and what cool products we're finding, all to benefit, the pets that don't get tested on as a result of these choices we're making. So that is something that I have on my my list of to-dos, I guess, for 2021.
Well, your possibilities, let's call them, right? That's a
Yes, my
possibility for you.
possibilities. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. So do you think that Clubhouse is going to replace any of the other platforms, maybe like Facebook, where people right now have groups and they share things? Do you think people are going to kind of walk away from the groups that are always like arguments and discussions and move to something like Clubhouse?
I think you're seeing that already, where a lot of people are finding themselves on Clubhouse because we get to have that personal interaction with people. And it's not just with the group, anybody can join the room. So, you're not just limited to the people that are following you on Facebook or just limited to that group. You're actually opening it up to the world, and whoever wants to join it's possible.
And the equivalent of an admin, so like admins on Facebook, is a moderator, correct, on Clubhouse?
Yes.
And what's the role of the moderator exactly?
Well, I've changed the word in my rooms basically because I feel like I'm the host. And that's really Clubhouse's admin is the host. And you'll see it in Clubhouse in a lot of the rooms where they actually will sit there and they'll have like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 moderators, admins, and they're all like talking at the same time and sharing, where I've kind of like pivot the whole situation to where it is kind of like a show. So I'm like the host and I have co-host, but I do like when I know I'm going to have a really big, powerful moment, I'll bring Serge in and he'll be my admin and he'll sit there and start to run the room for me. He'll look at the people that are raising their hands. He'll understand the questions they're going to be asking, what direction that they're coming from. If they're coming from a trainer's point of view, a pet parent point of view, or even like a dog walker. So then I'm more prepared that when I bring them up to the stage and they ask the question, I know the direction that they're going to go. And then with my co-host, then I can actually point it to the right co-host.
That's amazing. It really is like a live show. I mean, it's like a live podcast.
Exactly. In fact, that's what we're doing is we're taking all our rooms and we're now recording them because so many people came to us and said, hey, I came in halfway through and this subject is so beautiful. What did I miss? Are you recording? And so we've actually gone to our marketing team and they've now set us up with this mic and all this equipment. And we're now starting to record them and we're going to start posting them as podcasts so that people can go back and revisit, especially those people that are learning and they missed that week because they've been working with their dog or they got called back into work, they could come back into, let's say, step by step and say, wow, what was the training lesson today? What was the tips today?
That's amazing. Is that a feature on Clubhouse, or have you had to kind of like work around what Clubhouse offers you?
Well, Clubhouse has strict rules about recording, so you really have to follow the rules, and you have to get everybody's approval that are co-hosts with you and make sure they sign a release with you. So there are ins and out, and it is really difficult to actually record them. It took me 3 weeks to figure it out. In fact, I laugh with all my co-hosts. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in a bowl of spaghetti with all these wires. And I'm like, where does this one plug? Where does this one plug? And getting the right mic and having it sound right. It was definitely, a learning experience for me, but it's, I think I'm like one of the first people that really are out there actually that's mastered it. And I'm still mastering it, but I think, it's, like a podcast, when you first got into it, where do you start?
Right, right. Well, and luckily I have my executive producer to ask from Pet Life Radio, but like Clubhouse is so new that you're basically paving the way. So how could our listeners and our viewers on YouTube, how can they get in touch with you? How can they learn more about the products that you sell, the herbal products that you are co-founder of the company? And how can they join your rooms on Clubhouse? Tell us everything.
Well, one, I'm sure you're going to link me into your podcast, and then people can click on the link to our website, and then they can follow us on Instagram. And the moment that they follow us on Instagram, they could shoot me a DM personally through there, because I see all the Instagram posts or DMs that come through our Instagram. And from there, I have a lot of conversations, and then I can invite them. I can set up an invite for them on Clubhouse, bring them in, invite them, create a private room, and take them on a tour.
That's awesome. Can you tell us more about Healthy Paws Herbal Labs? Tell us more, very quickly about those products, because I've looked into them and they seem fascinating.
Well, they're really beautiful because, we do have our vets that are so important to us. Our traditional vets, we're never going to replace our traditional vets, but there's times when you're at home and all of a sudden your dog's got diarrhea. What are you going to do? Yeah, you can give them a pharmaceutical or something from the pharmacy, but that's really just masking the problem, not curing the problem. So ours are all holistic. They're based on Chinese ancient recipes that have been used for centuries in China for the humans and animals. And so we've gathered 9 different recipes, from anxiety to pain to allergies to camp poo-poo problems. I mean, so we have all these really wonderful names, but the bottom line is they're such incredible holistic remedies.
That's awesome. And I saw on your Clubhouse profile that people who follow you might be able to get a sample or two.
Yeah, definitely. We have 3 what we call travel sizes, because people like they enjoy these products so much, especially if they're starting to travel. We have one called No More Drama. And what it does is they can give it to their pet 20, 30 minutes before they jump on the plane, and it'll actually help the dog or cat relax naturally with the product. It doesn't have any narcotics or THC or anything like that in it. So it's not going to take away their motor skills, but it's just going to give them a calming effect. So we have the 3 products. And if somebody's interested, it's No More Drama, it's Ouchie or Itchy Scratchy for allergies. And if they put it in the word code on our website, Club, then they get it for free.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I want to propose a toast to you for bringing everybody together on Clubhouse. Thank you for allowing me to be in the rooms with you. Thank you for being a guest on the show. Cheers.
Well, thank you so much, Isabel. I can't tell you how much this means for me, because you're like one of the first people that's reached out to me. But after you, it seems like I'm getting this flood of people coming to me saying, can you come on my podcast? Can you talk about Clubhouse? Can you talk about you? Can you talk about your mission, what you're bringing to people? So cheers.
Cheers to you. One more toast to my executive producer, Mark Winter, for making this show possible. Oh, and to our viewers on YouTube and our listeners on Pet Life Radio, and to all of your followers on Clubhouse. Here's to a life covered in pet hair, because there's no better way to live. Cheers.
Cheers, here to pet hair.
To learn more about Covered in Pet Hair, please visit coveredinpethair.com or petliferadio.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.